Good morning. Today is the 17th of September. It is Saturday. It's hovering right about 55 or 52 degrees or so. Autumn is kind of sneaking up on us, and we are in the Five Bogs area again today. We are kind of doing a patrol of an area I haven't been in a few months, / scouting for opening day next week for bird season. And the combination of those two things, hopefully we get some luck one way or the other, and that's kind of the agenda for the day. So we're going to get going, and we'll see how we do. Okay, we're back for our first segment, and there's a good tree twist right there. Let's, why don't we start with that? And there you go. Right there. So a couple of things to cover on the way into the area I'm going to check out today. First of all, hold on, let me recenter. First of all, in lieu of bird season being next week, I've already seen one grouse, so this is a promising area for doing that. I have a hands-free camera. I can try to film some of that to add dimension to what I do out here. And people that think I'm doing it the stupid way can yell at me and leave comments to that effect. I won't be offended. The story of the day, though, is completely non-Bigfoot related. I had a very pleasant conversation with a woman who was walking her dogs. And this is one of those weird random meetings where you end up helping somebody who probably needs the help. I used to work at a federal hospital, and this woman's a veteran, and she was having trouble navigating the paperwork. So of all the places in the middle of nowhere, I end up being kind of like an advocate counselor for her and advising her how to handle that kind of stuff, having worked in that messed up system. Normally I don't give out personal information like this because I don't, you don't like to share too much online just for your own personal security, but number one, my channel is not huge. That's never really been a priority. But number two, this week and last week when I've been in here, you've just had interactions with people that take the day in a completely different direction than going out and just playing squatching. So I just, nice lady with two very well-tempered dogs. Ended up talking to her on the trail for probably a good 30 minutes, and I feel like I did her some good, so I feel good about that. Thought it was just worth mentioning. You can, excuse me, you can go in the woods with your allergies trying to kill you and end up in a situation thoroughly different than what you expected. And again, I already saw one grouse, so I have high hopes for this area and going through here when I start. I think I'll be back here next week for that. And when you're out bird hunting, you can also eyes and ears out for the hairy folk. Moving back to that subject matter, though, I've mentioned a time or two that the neighboring group from mine had a venue coming up, and this is actually a display of sympathy for them, because apparently the place they were going to have the venue, they basically pulled the plug on him because they're carpet cleaning or some shit. And the guy disclosed how much he paid to reserve the venue and all that. And I honestly hope for his sake, either that the money wasn't put down yet, or it's refundable, because, and you think it would be. I've never promoted a conference. I don't have any interest in that, so I don't know how that works. I'm not going to pretend to know. But without delving too far into this guy's personal business, suffice it to say it was enough money that if he couldn't get it back, you know, it's like, dude, day one, lawyer up. Because if they're going to charge you that much, then quite frankly, that's got to be refundable. especially if they're the ones pulling the plug on you. You know, if they have any integrity, then they'll do that. Trying to think of anything else going on in the squatching world that is noteworthy today, but my mind is on multiple things this week, including the upcoming bird season. So I'm going to take a segment break so I end up rambling, and we'll come back when I have had some time to ponder or I'm entering to the area that I'm getting to. We got a little ways to go yet. Be back in a bit. Okay, we're back, and we're making our way into a meadow we've been to before. We've had track finds here in the past. Not so far this year, but we're coming back to try again. Like I said before, I've already seen one grouse, and as I play that situation through my head, it briefly roosted. So if I had handled that situation right and with the same amount of, hold on. Literally just found this. Hold on. If the camera will stop trying to be the photographer for a minute. There's this. Deep imprint, roughly foot-shaped. More or less my size. The thing to take away from this, though, is number one, there's a lot of people out there that see this right now, and they're going to want to say, you know, Bigfoot, 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 but there's a deer track right there, there's a moose track right there, and there's another track right there. Up here in Vermont, we are either a week or two into bear season, and it's very possible, given that that's like a human-sized print, I could be tracking a hunter right now, a bear hunter right now. Which means I didn't bring any, because I was equating this week with next week being bird season, where I will have orange. I don't have it on me right now. So hopefully the nice men hunting bears are not going to take a person dressed all in green as a bear and shoot me. I would appreciate that. But they're typically chasing them with dogs, and I have no intention of treating myself for the sake of a dog's ego, so I would hope that that would make me safe from bear hunters. So we found one track, although, again, you have to allow for the grave probability that it may well be a hunter. It is getting to be that time of year. I know a lot of people would wish it to be a Bigfoot, and so do I, but the one thing I can say about that track, if you go back and look at it, is there are no visible toes, and that was soft mud. For the critical thinkers among us, that's the big thing. It's roughly human size. It looks more like a boot print to me than a footprint, and in the soft mud that was in, you would have had toe prints, and that you don't have any. So, right, there's a dip right there. I got to be careful in here because you can't see how far your foot's going down. But all right, we're here. Over there, well, you know what? Yeah, the camera's doing that thing again. Yeah, why is it when I pop out into a place in the middle of nowhere, and it is the middle of nowhere, there's a plane flying right overhead to like combat that, you know, to take away the illusion of that anyway. We're not near an airport, you just have a noisy plane overhead, unless there's an airport I'm not aware of. Jerk. Anyway, as I harp about triviality and walk through my favorite allergens, I don't know if I interrupted myself before. I'll reiterate my point. The reason why that's more likely a human than not. Soft mud, no toe prints, looks like a boot print, and the guy looks like he's following a deer. I don't think it's deer season yet, but he could just be scouting. I did run into a scouting deer hunter last week. Had a very nice conversation with the gentleman, but the point to be made is hunters are out here and you're sharing space with them. So number one, from now on going forward for the rest of the year, hunter's orange is a rule. And be aware of the fact that you are sharing space with, when they say multiple use woods, one is hunting, one is hiking, one is weirdos like me out looking for hairy forest people. Although next week I'll be part of the hunting population too. And nice ladies walking their dog. There's the odd horse rider out here. Equestrian, I guess is the term. So you just got to be mindful. You know, I've never actually had a bad or careless, dangerous run-in with a hunter, so I'm not terrified about that. Especially bow hunters, because they tend to be the more careful of the bunch. The guys from the immediately southern state from here, when they come up with the shotguns, those are the guys, honestly, that scare the hell out of me, because if anyone's going to shoot you accidentally, it's going to be them. And I've actually left areas in the past where you walk in and there is just a ridiculous infestation. I'd say concentration, but the better word is infestation of Elmer Fudd-esque hunters. And it literally is an accident waiting to happen. You know, they can tell you they're going to be careful. I'm watching your demeanor in the woods when you're saying that. And, you know, I'm sorry, but you're a danger to yourself, you're a danger to me, you're a danger to the people around you. And I know somebody who's green to hunting when I see it, and that means you're going to be overly enthusiastic. And with a shotgun ammo is cheap. Cheap enough, you're going to be trigger happy. And you see movement, you're going to draw, at the very least, you're going to draw a bead on me. And if I see you doing that, we're going to have a confrontation. The minute you drop that gun, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to shove you bodily, and we're going to get into it. And God help you if you pull the gun on me, because that's going to make for a very grim self. That he pulled the gun on me, and yes, he got hurt, and boo-hoo. Cry me an effing river. Sorry, not sorry. So unfortunately for the rest of this, hold on. Yeah, we've gone all black. God damn it. Hold on. I thought we did. I guess not. It's all shadow, so I guess this isn't going to work out. But basically, the ground I'm on is all mossy and covered over, so tracking in here is going to suck, basically, was my point. I'll look, but there's a couple spots on the way back that's like all soft mud, so that's always good for finding tracks, because the theory is that you might have somebody out there that thinks they know more than they do, and they're arguing. Well, they're stealthy and they know how. Well, you know what? If it's a freaking living, breathing mammal, it needs that. It needs to drink to live. So at some point, you have to come down to a water body and take a drink. You can't. It's like the same thing as tracking deer in the snow. You can be as stealthy as you want. You have white stuff on the ground. You're going to leave tracks, and I'm going to know you've been through there. In the winter, snow is a great leveler of the playing field. You can be the stealthiest. I mean, I've never seen bobcats up close and personal, but when you track in the snow, you see their tracks, you see their spray patterns, and it's obvious they're around. You're sharing space with them. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. Right here in these very woods, unless the bear hunters got them, there is, if you go in that way, a black bear den. I've seen the bear before. Never had a problem with him, but I know he's there. There's been a couple of occasions where I've heard something in the undergrowth, and it probably is that same very bear. The rule of thumb when you're going through the undergrowth, for those that are willing to do it, is if you hear it hunker down, it's probably a deer. If it takes off like a Mack truck and you don't see it and it's breaking stuff, you probably spooked a moose. Coyotes, kind of a mixed bag. They can come up on you. You can see one over there, and it'll go into the woodwork. Bobcats you never see, but a bear, if you hear something just casually going through the undergrowth, it's probably a bear. And the thing to allay your fears, if you're definitely afraid of bears, if he's not coming towards you, if you hear him moving away from you, he knows you're there. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to deal with you. Just go about your business and let him go on. You're two ships passing in the night, basically. I'm not saying to not be afraid of bears, but don't be irrationally afraid of them. Respect their space and know they're there and know what to do if you run into one. More to the point, know what not to do. And I'm not going to go through that right now because, quite honestly, there's enough stuff. Go on Google. Google's your friend. It'll take you all the way through that stuff. Bear safety is not a hard subject. So we're through here, and for the sake of bird hunting, I'd probably have more luck. I don't know why I do this, because it looks all dark in there, and I don't really have enough sunlight that I can show you. Hold on. Anyway, like the undergrowth, basically. Okay, I'll point over there. If you get up into those trees in the undergrowth and like the ferny stuff, you're more likely to run into your target species up there. Although I am legally able with my licensing to take bobwhites, pheasants, or grouse as well. Theoretically with crows, although why the hell I'm going to kill and eat a crow, I have no idea. I've Googled it. Apparently people do it. Not my thing. I can take them, but legally I'm going to tell the crow population you are safely off the menu. Not sure if I'm legal to take deer or bear. Number one, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with a dead bear, pardon my French. And the logistics of getting a deer carcass from Vermont to Connecticut, even if it's legal, throwing the thing on my hood and then taking it's just, that's a pain in the ass that's above and beyond where I'm willing to go patience-wise. So, you know, people that are deer hunters, you know, spare me your comments. You know, you go for deer, I'm going for birds. It's just, everyone's got their preference. Let's just, you know, agree to disagree if you're that bothered by my comments. What else? Yeah, the Massachusetts affair is kiboshed for some really crappy reasons. I mean, I don't like the guy throwing it that much, but the bottom line is I can still not be a monster, and I hope he recoups his funds because it was a lot of money, and I have enough of a sense of moral outrage that if somebody gets jacked for that much money, and I don't even care if they're my worst enemy, that's just wrong. I would think with given the nature of the venue and the venue pulling the plug, he can get his money back, but still, that sucks. I just found something really cool. I'm going to show this. Because I think this is completely naturally occurring. This looks literally... I got to get it on the damn sun so I can show you. Bear with me, because the shadows are not helping. This thing looks like a beaver gnawed arrowhead. But it looks completely natural. So, that's kooky. I'm going to leave that there. Some hunter can see that and think it's cool too. In a moment, I'm going to head over to the other corner of the pond over here, and I'm going to put the drone up to earn myself an intro. And I'm guessing this video is basically going to be a kind of a rambling mixed bag of things. And I'm enthused, like I said before. I actually have seen a grouse this morning, and if I had had enough patience and handled it right, I might have even gotten a shot at him. Which, considering I'm relatively new to bird hunting, I will make the comment that I am perfectly fine accepting the role of blind luck in my success rate for the day. That's, you know, blind luck works as much as anything else. That is squatching in a nutshell. You're basically, if you see one, you're in the right place at the right time. And then you can go for your lifetime and never see one again. I've been fortunate 2, possibly 3 times. But for the jokers out there in the community that claim to see one all the time, and this is a special shout out to those charming people who claim to have the secret knowledge that only they have because Zorth talks to them in their head, and they claim to see one all the time. You're making stuff up and you're lying and you know it, and for that, frankly, boys and girls, you can suck it. You are making a bunch of white noise and you are leading on the gullible and the lonely. And you do nothing to advance this subject to a solution because you're the charlatans. You are the snake oil people of this thing. And it reminds me of the conversation that I briefly had with Ontario Bigfoot the other month. I think it was about a month ago. And he went into a lovely diatribe basically to that exact effect. You don't have the knowledge that I do. And he talks to, I forget what he named his imaginary friend, but he has an imaginary Bigfoot friend who talks to him. And that's really all the time I'm going to waste on that, because that is a waste of my mental energy, and I don't need to do that. But he is a poster child, not unlike Matthew Johnson, who is... In Matt's case, because I know for a fact in the past he's had like some kind of a head injury, I will allow for the possibility that that Matt might actually be legitimately batshit. He might be a proud and legitimate guano connoisseur, to put it in more diplomatic, family-friendly terms. And, you know, he may actually have some mental issues, and I find it deeply disturbing. Not to make this a personal attack on any one person, but he's enough of an extreme example, I'm going to get over it. He is disturbingly a counselor of some kind, which puts him in that trust position with a vulnerable person, and this guy is absolutely monkey shit crazy. He is. And if he ever heard this and threatened me with defamation, the fun of that is, Matthew, the worst thing you could possibly ever do to me, or do to yourself, is bring yourself in front of a judge. Because my credibility in that court case would simply be, Your Honor, listen to him. That is my defense. And his case is going to go radically downhill from there. And he might actually place his accreditation, I don't know what you need in his state to be a counselor, but I'm assuming there's some kind of a certification. You could put that up on jeopardy, and he might actually order you to have a nice little psych ward stay to make sure that you're okay to like operate without needing additional supervision from the nanny state. But, and I would say this based, I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but, you know, before people like, well, that's extreme. No, it's not. You have a bad dealing with law enforcement, I mean, over the most innocuous of things, and you can have a situation go sideways where it's surprisingly easy for you to be held over for 72 hours just because they want to be sure. And yes, I am speaking from past personal experience. I was lucky and it didn't happen to me, but I guess I am going into some detail. If suffice it to say, if things had happened a little bit differently and you had had a more power-tripping cop as the partner to the other power-tripping cop, that's very easily what could have happened to me. Which would have had some interesting crappy effects on my life, because I probably would have had that come up on a background check and not been able to get a job around the 2012 mark, all because of this one power-tripping asshole. And if you are in law enforcement, you really need to take a step back and realize the amount of ability that you have to fuck up somebody's life who really has done nothing wrong. Now, there are guilty people out there, and I'm not saying everybody's innocent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to do cop hate on a Bigfoot channel, but when somebody in the situation I'm referring to clearly was guilty of nothing, and you had an obviously bogus wellness check go wrong, you need to be cognizant of the amount of ability you have to mess up that person's life. And I'm going to end my little tirade that's thoroughly off the rails of anything Bigfoot related by saying it probably would not be the time to mention Bigfoot when that person's like trying to make a case for trying to drag you out of your house in the middle of the night. I'm not kidding. And I'm just going to make the argument that when you have a situation like that, law enforcement really is not the ideal agency to handle a wellness check. There should be some kind of a social services person doing that instead. But more than one person has lost their life due to a cop responding to a wellness check. And if you want to take that as cop hate, so be it. I'm not wrong. Google it. And I'm going to change the subject because I am rambling into territory I don't really want to go down right now. We're going to take a break and we'll come back in a bit. Okay. We are on the way out. Just a quick summary of the day. We have photographs of two, I'm just going to call them impressions. One really suspiciously looks like a hunter's boot to me. The other one is more ambiguous. I have a photo I'll be posting to Facebook. Draw your own conclusions. Again, I neither endorse nor discourage it. I present the evidence as is. All I say is it was an interesting enough abnormality that it was photo worthy, and therefore I present it, and then you draw your own conclusions. That being said, interesting mixed bag of a day out for various reasons. And this is where, oh yeah, we had a good flight with the drone. Although I always seem to be able to put it right where the sun is in the middle and blocks line of sight for a bit. And beyond that, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want, if you haven't already. Leave a comment, all that. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you. Bye.